Why do older adults wake up at 3 a.m.? A closer look at the deeper messages behind early morning wake-ups. Have you ever found yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wide awake, wondering why sleep seems to slip away just when you need it most? You're not alone, and more importantly, you're not doing anything wrong. This early morning wakefulness is something many people experience as they get older. It's not a random fluke. It's not just a sign of aging. In fact, it may be your body's way of quietly telling you something. And once you understand the reasons behind it, those restless hours might start to make more sense. Even feel like a gentle invitation to reconnect with your body and mind in a deeper, more compassionate way. In this video, we're going to explore 5 powerful, research-backed reasons why so many older adults tend to wake up around 3 a.m. and what these moments of stillness might be trying to reveal. This isn't about labeling something as broken. It's about seeing the full picture of your health, your habits, and your humanity, and learning how to support yourself with more kindness and awareness. By the end, you may come to see your sleep not as a problem to solve, but as a rhythm to understand. 1. The natural decline of melatonin, a silent shift in our inner clock. As we age, our relationship with sleep evolves, sometimes gently, other times more dramatically. One of the most understated but powerful forces behind this transformation is the gradual decline of melatonin, the hormone that silently orchestrates our body's sleep-wake rhythm, the hormone that once gently rocked us to sleep. In our youth, melatonin flows abundantly. As dusk settles, the pineal gland in the brain begins its nightly task, releasing melatonin to signal that it's time to wind down. This biological cue nudges us into a deep, restorative sleep. The process feels seamless, even effortless. But this symphony begins to quiet as the years pass. By the time we reach our 60s or 70s, melatonin production has dropped significantly, sometimes to just 20 to 30% of what it was in early adulthood. For many, this doesn't necessarily mean trouble falling asleep, but rather difficulty staying asleep, particularly during the early morning hours when melatonin levels naturally taper off. This isn't a malfunction. It's a biological recalibration, the body adapting to a new rhythm. However, the shift can feel disorienting. Harold's story, from frustration to flow. Take Harold, a retired high school principal. Now 72, a few months ago, he began waking up consistently at 3:15 a.m., alert, restless, and unable to drift back into sleep. At first, he feared something was wrong. Was it stress? His heart? A hidden health issue? But after learning about the age-related decline in melatonin, Harold saw his situation in a new light. He wasn't broken. He was simply changing. With that knowledge, he embraced a few gentle lifestyle shifts. He began dimming his lights after dinner, trading evening TV time for reading under soft lamp. He cut back on screen time an hour before bed, recognizing how blue light can suppress even the small amounts of melatonin his body still produced. And most powerfully, he started taking a 15-minute walk at sunset, letting the fading light recalibrate his internal clock, a practice shown to support melatonin release. The results weren't instant miracles. He still woke early sometimes, but his sleep improved. More importantly, Harold no longer felt at odds with his body. He felt like a collaborator, not a combatant. As melatonin diminishes, our sensitivity to environmental stimuli increases. Things that once went unnoticed, a blinking router light, the glare of a street lamp through sheer curtains, the hum of a digital clock, now have the power to interfere with the little melatonin we do produce. By simply recognizing these subtle disruptors, we can start to build an environment that supports our aging biology. Blackout curtains, amber-colored nightlights, and unplugging unnecessary electronics can collectively create a space that feels safe for sleep, a signal to the brain that night has truly arrived. Partnering with the body, not resisting it. The decline in melatonin isn't a defeat. It's a natural turning of the page in our lifelong relationship with sleep. Understanding this shift empowers us to respond not with frustration, but with curiosity and care. Sleep, after all, is not just a biological function. It's a reflection of how well we're attuned to ourselves. By learning to listen and adjust, we can rediscover rest in a new way, not in spite of aging, but in harmony with it. 2. A shifted internal clock, the advanced sleep phase phenomenon. As we age, our bodies undergo a wide array of subtle yet profound changes. One of the most surprising and often misunderstood shifts happens deep within our biology. Our internal clock, or circadian rhythm, begins to move forward in time. This phenomenon is known as Advanced Sleep Phase Syndrome, ASBS, and although it tends to fly under the radar, it affects a significant portion of the aging population. What happens when the clock shifts? If you've ever noticed yourself getting drowsy earlier than usual, say around 8 o'clock or 9 p.m., even if you used to thrive on late-night energy, it may not be just getting tired. It could be a sign that your internal clock has shifted forward. In ASBS, the natural rhythm that regulates sleep and wake cycles resets to an earlier pattern. People with this condition tend to fall asleep earlier in the evening and, as a result, wake up earlier in the morning, often between 3 o'clock and 5 a.m., feeling alert and rested. Importantly, this is not the same as insomnia. You're still getting a full night's sleep, just on a schedule that might feel unfamiliar or inconvenient at first. The body still cycles through all the necessary stages of sleep: light sleep, deep sleep, REM, but it finishes the process earlier than you might be used to. A real-life example. Charles's story. Consider Charles, a 68-year-old recently retired school principal. For most of his life, Charles was a night owl, grading papers late into the evening, watching the 11 o'clock news, and sleeping until 7:30 a.m. But a few months into retirement, he noticed something different. He was nodding off by 9 p.m. without even realizing it, and waking up wide-eyed around 4 a.m. At first, Charles was confused and frustrated. Was he losing sleep? Was something wrong with his health? But after talking to his doctor, he learned about ASBS and started to observe his own patterns. He realized that he wasn't sleeping less. He was simply sleeping earlier. To make the most of this shift, Charles began adjusting his routine. He moved dinner to 5:30 p.m., took a warm bath around 7:30 p.m., and settled in a bed with a book by 8:30 p.m. By aligning his lifestyle with his body's new rhythm, Charles didn't just adapt, he thrived. His mornings became more peaceful, productive, and fulfilling. The psychological side of ASBS. This shift isn't only physical. There are psychological and environmental components as well. As people age, their days may become less structured, especially post-retirement. Social engagements may decrease, and evenings might feel quieter and more solitary. This reduction in external stimulation naturally nudges the brain into winding down earlier. But here's the opportunity. When embraced, this new rhythm can become a source of serenity. Instead of fighting the change, individuals can reclaim the tranquility that nighttime offers. It's a time for reflection, for slower rituals, and for gentle pleasures like a calming tea, a slow walk at dusk, or journaling under soft light. Adapting with intention. For those navigating this change, the key lies in intentional adaptation. Evening rituals. Embrace calming activities like reading, meditative stretching, or listening to soft music. Consistent schedule. Keep your wake-up and bedtime consistent, even on weekends. Natural light. Get plenty of sunlight in the morning to reinforce your circadian rhythm. Social engagement. Try scheduling meaningful activities earlier in the day to match your peak energy window. 3. Physical discomfort. The body's quiet conversation in the night. In the stillness of the early morning, around 3 a.m., when the world is hushed and distractions have retreated, the body begins to speak more clearly. What may be just a whisper during the hustle of the day becomes an undeniable presence in the quiet. A stiff joint groans for attention. A full bladder signals urgency. An aching back whispers a forgotten posture or overuse. This is not coincidence. This is communication. With age, the body's resilience often fades. What we once brushed off now lingers. Minor discomforts evolve into messages that demand awareness. Conditions such as arthritis, acid reflux, restless leg syndrome, or even something as seemingly insignificant as a dry mouth can rouse us from sleep. It's not just the discomfort itself, it's the body saying, something needs your attention. The cooler temperatures of night, combined with stillness and lowered external stimuli, make us more attuned to these sensations. A slight chill that wouldn't faze us at noon can feel jarring at 3:00 a.m. Our nervous system is more exposed in the dark, and even the subtlest imbalance, hydration, blood sugar, or muscle tension, can disrupt rest. And then, of course, there's the bladder. For many older adults, especially men, waking in the night to urinate becomes a new norm. This shift is not a personal failing or something to be ashamed of. It is biology doing what it does best, adapting and signaling change. Take Elderly 76, for example. After enduring months of fragmented sleep, she sought guidance. It turned out that a seemingly unrelated blood pressure medication was the culprit behind her frequent nighttime bathroom visits. By consulting her doctor, she learned to adjust the timing of her dose and proactively hydrate earlier in the day. The result? Her nights grew more restful and her mornings less weary. This story holds a deeper truth. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the body's language of need. Whether it's pain, restlessness, or a side effect of a necessary medication. Each sensation is a subtle call to action, a prompt to listen, to care, and to respond. Rather than resisting or blaming ourselves for waking up, we can shift our mindset. Ask instead, what is my body trying to tell me? Is there a habit I can adjust? Is this an invitation to nurture myself more tenderly? By tuning in with curiosity instead of frustration, we move closer to healing. In this quiet hour, when discomfort stirs us, it might just be guiding us back to balance, not away from it. 4. Subtle lifestyle shifts, the quiet drift toward early sleep. Retirement is often imagined as a well-earned rest, an open horizon of unstructured days and slow mornings. And while that freedom can feel liberating, it also comes with quiet transformations. One of the most overlooked changes? A subtle but steady shift in sleep patterns. With fewer meetings, no morning alarm, and less demand for mental or physical exertion, the body begins to slow down. Without realizing it, your internal clock starts to drift. Dinners move to 5 p.m. sharp. TV becomes background noise as eyelids grow heavy by 7:30. By 8:30, the pull of bed is irresistible. It feels like a calm routine until you wake up at 3 a.m., staring into the dark. His post-retirement life flipped in the opposite direction. He began having dinner earlier, skipping his usual evening walks, and unintentionally falling asleep in his recliner before bedtime. At first, it felt cozy, peaceful even, but as weeks passed, the 3 a.m. wake-ups became more frequent, and the early mornings, once serene, started to feel isolating. Recognizing the pattern, Walter began making intentional adjustments, not drastic changes, but mindful nudges. He reintroduced a short walk after dinner, allowing his body some gentle motion and exposure to fading natural light. He read under bright, warm-toned lights that signaled his brain to stay alert a little longer. And perhaps most importantly, he stopped dozing off in front of the TV, replacing the evening nap with a cup of herbal tea and a phone call to his daughter. Within a few weeks, the results were noticeable. His bedtime slowly stretched back toward 10 p.m., and his wake-up time naturally followed, aligning closer to 5:30 or 6 a.m. The shift was subtle but powerful. Mornings felt like a beginning again, not an extension of a fragmented night. The body is incredibly adaptive. It craves rhythm, but it is equally responsive to habit. Retirement offers the freedom to shape your days, but that freedom can drift without structure. By bringing a bit of intention to evening routines through light, movement, and mindfulness, You can gently guide your body toward a sleep-wake rhythm that supports both rest and vitality. Because sleep isn't just about hours, it's about harmony. And in the quieter chapters of life, that harmony is something we get to compose night by night. 5. Emotional restlessness, the quiet echoes of the heart. Sometimes it's not the body that wakes you. It's the soul, whispering what the day was too loud to let you hear. In the stillness of the early morning, when the hum of the world softens, when darkness wraps gently around the home, we sometimes find ourselves unexpectedly awake. There is no jolt, no panic, no loud thought, just a quiet stirring, a sense that something within is reaching for our attention. This is emotional restlessness. It doesn't always announce itself as sadness or anxiety. Often, it arrives as a gentle unease, a longing, a pull toward reflection. At 3 a.m., there are no meetings to attend, no phones buzzing, no responsibilities demanding action, just space. And in that space, our inner world awakens. For many older adults, this time of life brings a slower rhythm, a deceleration of schedules, noise, and the external validation that once filled their days. But in that slowing down, the heart begins to speak up. Memories surface with surprising clarity. A lover's laughter, a child's first step, a missed opportunity, a kind word left unsaid. Regrets and gratitude intermingle. Sometimes there's mourning, sometimes there's peace, and often there's both. Take Gloria, 80, who lost her husband of nearly 6 decades. She often stirs at 3 a.m., not from physical discomfort, but because something within calls her gently awake. Her thoughts drift, not chaotically, but thoughtfully, to shared meals, quiet walks, arguments long forgiven, and the enduring presence of a love that never quite left. For a time, these awakenings unsettled her. But when she chose not to resist them, when she allowed herself to be present with the moment, they transformed. She began to keep a small journal by her bedside. She lit a candle. She whispered prayers, not to ask for anything, but simply to feel heard. Over time, Gloria found that she slept more peacefully, not because the feelings disappeared, but because she honored them. This restlessness is not pathology. It is memory's echo, love's residue, the soul's soft tapping. It is the reminder that we have lived deeply, and that the heart still holds stories we haven't fully told, even to ourselves. To wake at 3 a.m. is not always a disruption. Sometimes it is an invitation to listen, to remember, to feel, to be. Emotional restlessness isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something within is alive and waiting for acknowledgement, for kindness, for quiet presence. It is the heart's nocturnal poetry, and sometimes, just sometimes, the silence of night is the only space vast enough to hold its verses. Waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't mean your sleep is broken. It means your body is speaking. Your rhythm is evolving. Your life is shifting. By understanding the why behind those early wake-ups, you can begin to meet yourself with more compassion, not as a problem to fix, but as a person to support. Whether it's through adjusting your bedtime, caring for your physical needs, or listening more closely to the quiet voice of your heart, each choice becomes a way to love yourself through the changes of time. So the next time you find yourself awake in the dark, don't panic. Pause, breathe, listen, and remember, you're not alone. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment below. Let us know what you've learned and what small change you plan to try. And if you found this video meaningful, we invite you to subscribe and share it with someone else who may need it. Here's to better rest, deeper understanding, and the quiet strength that comes with knowing yourself more fully at any hour of the day or night.